Oh, hello. It's morning in America.
It's morning in America.
Oh, he's ready to go.
You are listening to Trigger Warnings Challenging Talk Radio, featuring myself, Chris Smith, here in the high desert, and John Ross in the heart of American carnage on the line.
Good morning, America.
It is show number 22.
But we're not counting.
But no one is counting. Very few of us are listening. But here on today's program, we change it up. I've been quizzing John over the last few weeks, a project that descended into its own fake news madness.
It has morphed. We are officially, I'm going to register the term quiz morph.
Quizmorph.
Quiz morph. It has morphed. Did I mention to you, because this week, after many, many weeks of Encyclopedia Brown over there coming up with sometimes arcane trivia questions, I have assumed that role, but have given it a bit of a twist, have I not?
I don't know. You sent me the questions. That's a trick right there. I never showed you the questions beforehand. This is not how you provide testimony.
No, I'm showing you. I'm sending you the questions in advance, not so you will look them up.
Wait a minute. It's quotesoftheweek.pdf?
Yes, I did it as a PDF, so you can't make edits. These questions have been hermetically sealed. In fact, what I have done is I have gotten quotes of the week. I have identified actual real. See, this is a real news quiz with fake news twist.
Oh, my.
Because I have taken real quotes from real news spoken by real people.
Supposedly. I mean, unless you were there, you can't tell me you know that.
All of them are from legitimate, real news media outlets.
Well, how do you define legitimate?
They have licenses. And what I have done is to cover the news, real and fake, of the week, have made each question a challenging assortment of multiple choice options encompassing real news and fake news twists on real news, so that unless you know the right answer off the top, you could be confused. I'm jiving and juking.
Knowledge is power. I'm excited to fail this quiz miserably. I look forward to this.
I cannot tell you, well, I have told you, how excited I am over this. I believe this may be my mission in life, to do weekly real news with fake news twist quizzes around quotes of the week.
Well, you see how my endeavor towards that turned into a massive project, and it became lots of fun to come up with these.
It became a quasi-obsession, did it not?
It did, and you can understand that now. All right, well, look, let's talk about a couple stories in the news that I selected.
Should we intersperse quiz questions?
No. We have a sense of tradition. We do things here on Trigger Warnings not because they are rational or thought out, but because we have always done it that way. And we stop thinking after we get to that.
I would say that rule, as well as the quizzes we have done, with the exception of a few questions of yours that had fake answers, do adhere to our policy of radical empathy.
No, the last week's quiz did not. I believe that my
No,
quiz,
no.
it was done with such a mean spirit that it did not have radical empathy at its heart.
To our listeners, Dr. Smith was very apologetic last week for no reason at all after I gently teased him on air for giving me fake answers or answers that were not included in the options, and there was no none of the above or some other thing answer. He apologized. He was radically empathic, if I must say. He was radically sympathetic, and there was no need.
To present someone with a question that you know has no correct answer and is unanswerable, it can be done with a gentle and fun spirit. And when done...
Wait a minute. I think that Jim Comey knows all about that.
Well, yes, and I was trying to model behavior that I expected to see through the week. I guess we saw it. You never answered, "I cannot recall," or just said, "I cannot answer that." Simply, I cannot.
I don't remember yet. I don't remember. I might have, but I'm not sure. But my lawyers tell me I can't be sure that I didn't. Yeah, I know we didn't do that.
Well, look, we will get to your quiz, and that will be an epic triumph for truth and justice. But right now, I have two articles, and John, I watched a movie last night. You've talked about it on this program. I'm sorry I was culturally ignorant, but now I have seen The Manchurian Candidate.
Which one? The original? With
No, the more recent version.
No, that doesn't count.
Oh, it doesn't. Good, because I found it violent and unnecessary, and I found myself itchy, looking for small metal pellets under my skin.
Yes. No. Even though Denzel Washington and Meryl Streep are among the greatest yet overrated actors of our era, no. The whoever did the second has nothing on the John Frankenheimer original with Frank Sinatra and Angela Lansbury and Kim Novak. And I'm sorry. We'll only give you half credit. But yes, so you were unnerved by this film.
Right? I was incredibly unnerved, and I wondered if the corporation, what's the name of it? The Manchurian Corporation? No, what is it? You know what?
Well, in the original, there was no corporation. They updated it, but that's the thing. So while I did see that version,
okay, I can't draw.
It is unmemorable. Yeah.
Apparently, well, it reminded me a lot of the film Network, in that Meryl Streep plays a politician, a Hillary Clinton type, dare I say. And,
well, she's not really a politician.
But she's a U.S. senator.
See, that's the problem, because in the original, she wasn't, see.
Oh.
In the original, she's just the mother of and uses the Queen of Hearts card to hypnotize people into doing things.
Ooh.
Again.
No, that's not nearly as plausible as a government contractor coming up with a small metal pellet that we can inject into the skull and thus have the first privately owned and operated vice president of the United States and or president of the United States. And that...
Well, of course, if he's going to be vice president, he must succeed to president, because otherwise, nobody cares about the vice president.
Oh, I don't think that's the case today. Do you?
We're starting to care a lot about our current vice president.
I would say so. Look, before we get ahead of ourselves, you're listening to Trigger Warnings, challenging talk radio, radical empathy at its core. I'm Chris Smith, John Ross. We've been at this for months, and I bring to the table at this point an article by Politico. Are they fake news?
No. Politico is real nerd dork news. It's policy wonk news. It's political junkie news.
Didn't Politico have a writer that admitted to sending Podesta such and such approval of articles? Wasn't that Politico? Do I have that right?
I don't remember.
Ah.
I do not know that. I do not know that. Did that happen?
I do. I do.
Hmm.
Oh, I do. I will.
Well,
I need to. I need to cross-reference that. Anyway, what we have in front of us right now.
Is the one media outlet in Washington everybody reads. I think Politico has gotten to that level. Yes, but please, this is a very interesting article with kind of Manchurian candidate undertone.
Yes, somebody's got a metal pellet under their skin, and I want to know from John who he thinks it is. Written by Kenneth P. Vogel and Eli Stoklos, published March 23rd, 2017 on Politico.com. Headline, RNC paid intel firm for Clinton dirt. As the general election was taking shape last summer, the Republican National Committee initiated a series of payments to a low-profile firm started by retired CIA officers that worked closely with an ex-Russian spy. The payments attracted attention in political and intelligence circles, largely because the Virginia-based firm Hamilton Trading Group had particular expertise in Russia, which was emerging as a major campaign issue at the time. RNC officials and the president and co-founder of Hamilton Trading Group, an ex-CIA officer named Ben Wickham, insisted the payments, which came to $41,000, had nothing to do with Russia. Instead, they initially claimed the payments were entirely for an assessment by Hamilton Trading Group of building security concerns at the RNC's Capitol Hill headquarters. Later, the article says, we were looking at what if there was a San Bernardino type thing here? So it was $41,000 worth of consulting for that, allegedly. But, quote, RNC officials now acknowledge that most of the cash, $34,100, went towards intelligence-style reports that sought to provide conflicts of interest between Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State and her family's foundation. The firm produced 2 dossiers that tried to make the case that Clinton intervened in Bulgaria and Israel, respectively, on behalf of energy companies that had donated to the Clinton Foundation, according to People briefed on the reports. So the RNC paid this firm to dig up dirt on Clinton during the campaign. That's not illegal, is it, John?
No, it's not illegal and it's not unusual. This is not I'm waiting for what's the big story here question.
And it comes to you very quickly. Wickham added that he's never had any contact with Trump or Manafort or their people. The RNC provided documentation that appeared to list the specific Clinton-related research projects for which Wickham's firm was paid. Security audits, something in San Bernardino. We didn't find anything too problematic. That was a quote. So yeah, what is the big story? I mean,
Well, so I think what this post, this is fairly standard opposition research that's done in campaigns. I think what's interesting about this is that clearly we'll take Wickham at his word that he has nothing to do with Trump or Manafort. So then we'll say that we'll expand this to the Republicans. The Trump people and the Republicans really appear to venerate Russian intelligence, whereas they are trying in their public statements, or at least in the president's public statement over the last couple of weeks, seemingly trying to take down British intelligence. I thought British intelligence was there at the top of the list on today's top 40. It's clear that the Republicans and the Trump people are trying to elevate Russia to number 1 on the solid gold top 40 list. And again, this just follows a lot of other patterns that apparently are soon to be revealed.
Don't give me that soon to be revealed. Really?
They are.
Anytime anybody says that now, I think that they mean I don't have anything to share, and I'm going to see if just saying that will get you off my back.
I don't know. I believe I believe that what Adam Schiff said this week was more than just a reaction, a headline-grabbing reaction to what Nunez did, which turned out to have been there was nothing there, and we knew it. Schiff said, no, that there's stuff that this is grand jury-worthy evidence that would result in indictments, and I believe that such things are forthcoming. And I don't think the FBI. I think if the FBI wanted to get around it and could show up at a hearing and say, sorry, we really can't comment on that because we really can't comment on pending investigation. But there's a reason why the FBI said, why Comey himself said, yes, there's an investigation and it includes people within the inner circle of the Trump campaign and the White House. There's a reason why he said that. He didn't just say that to get people off his back.
Why did he say it?
Do
you think that, what's his end game? What does he want to see happen? He's the guy that sent out a press release the weekend before the election. Don't forget.
He's also the guy who, when Trump sent out this fake tweet, went to the Justice Department and said, please send out word that this is a lie, and the Justice Department wouldn't do it. Now, Comey may be trying to ensure his legacy and have everybody hate him equally. But I think there's a lot going on here. And the sign that you were shaking your magic 8-ball right now, that's what she said, you would, I think in more cases than not, it would tell you that something pretty big, maybe not the whole enchilada, but a piece of the enchilada is coming fairly soon.
Do you think Hillary Clinton owns a magic 8-ball? You said she. I figured that's who you meant. That's what she said.
Did I say? Oh, that's what she said. Yeah. No, I'm sure. I think Hillary Clinton is a non-entity here.
Oh.
I mean, she has nothing to do with this. I mean, there's still an investigation that's open, but I think, look, Manafort this week, when it came out that he was taking money from an oligarch, like we didn't already know that, he said yesterday he would happily and voluntarily go before the Intelligence Committee and testify. Manafort is in trouble, and this is Manafort taking the fall, or offering to take the fall, or offering to divert the fall, at least the first round of it, for higher ups. This is something's coming down fairly quickly. Again, maybe not the whole story, but a piece of it is coming down. It's just, again, this is not Watergate. This is not 3 television networks and a couple of major newspapers. This is 24/7, and this is just happening. All of it is happening so fast. It may not all come out right away, but it's not going to take 3.5 years like Watergate.
Do you agree? Do you agree with this quote? There are, and the pronoun her refers to Hillary Clinton. There are at least forces within the FBI that wanted her to lose. I'm not really.
Oh,
you agree with that?
No, and in fact, I mean, this is something that we don't talk. There is a separate investigation going on within the FBI, as in the criminal branch, not the counterintelligence group, as to the agent who leaked that story 11 days, or in the week before the election, that prompted Comey to send the letter about Weiner and the email. There's an investigation there because remember, Rudy Giuliani went on Fox News and teased us with, well, I've spoken to agents in the FBI or that's not kosher. That kind of leaking around an ongoing unannounced investigation is not cool. And there's an investigation going on to that. So there's no question that entities within the FBI who wanted that result made sure that information got out in that timing. So there is there's still an investigation going on about that mess. So, I think you have to look at Comey's behavior, announcing that 11 days before the election when clearly there were leaks coming out of the FBI anyway, what he said Monday, what he said the week before in response, or 2 weeks before when Trump said this thing about wiretapping. I mean, I think, Comey may have a lot of internal problems and dissent, but he does have a historical sense of how the FBI has been used and abused related to large-scale presidential scandals, specifically Watergate. And I think, his ego and his sense of history really want him to try and protect both himself and the agency's reputation. So I think you have to look at what Comey's doing and saying publicly and behind the scenes in that context. But yes, clearly there's no doubt that there are people in the FBI, not to mention people in the Kremlin, who clearly don't like Hillary Clinton. Now, Hillary Clinton may come out of this smelling like a rose because she's going to be seen as someone who, really was trying to crack down on Russia and believes in human rights and someone Republicans should have embraced and did until she was running for president. But no, I think that's clearly the case. I don't think this story is a story, but I appreciate that you put this out as a topic of discussion because it does have tentacles that tie into so many other things that really are stories and that are exploding.
And the likelihood of somebody having a metal pellet inserted into their skull and thus acting on the behalf of some other group, organization, or government that we don't know about, maybe even without the metal pellet, as in the Manchurian Candidate, but that likelihood is going up and up and up. That idea that, quote, there are at least forces within the FBI that wanted her, Hillary Clinton, to lose, that is a John Podesta quote from late February of this year. I'm not sure they really understood the alternative, but they wanted her to lose. I think that's one possibility.
Oh no, I think there's no question. Again, I mean, she's got a lot of problems, and but and Comey, this is sorry.
It's
Jim
Comey on the line.
Yeah, the fact that Jim Comey Jim Comey said in his testimony the other day that, look, the Russians really hated Hillary Clinton. They didn't want her to win. Was that just kind of him providing just, a piece of detail that wasn't necessary? Or was that Jim Comey letting on something else? He said that. Usually, good lawyers, and especially people testifying at congressional hearings, they don't say things they don't have to say. Why would he say that specific line at a hearing when Hillary Clinton really wasn't the issue? Right? Because that was speaking about the Russian connection. And, again, there are people like Comey don't use throwaway lines. They don't say things that are unnecessary under oath at a congressional hearing. They only say those things that need to be said, that must be said legally, and that they want us to hear. And there's a reason why he said that particular line. I believe.
Repeat the line again.
he made note in his questioning the other day that the Russians hated Hillary Clinton and they wanted her to lose. And he said that for a reason. He didn't have to say it, but he did.
That's very true. That's very true.
And,
Thank you.
So again, these things are not said. They're not said randomly or offhandedly. They're said for a very specific reason, because they either have to be. They are legitimately part of an answer that we need to hear. Remember, Comey. It is highly unusual for an FBI director to speak about a pending investigation. That violates generations of policy. So if he did it back in July and again in October, it's probably because he had to, not because he wanted to. And if he did in July and November, it's probably because somebody was getting it out, was going to get it out, or had already gotten it out some other way. So he didn't get up March 20th and say that as a throwaway line, or to say, oh, see, I can be fair too. I can say nice things about Hillary Clinton. He's not doing that. There's a reason why that came out. And, that's why I think stuff is in the slow moving tortoise-like shell of Washington, imminent isn't tomorrow, but, let's just here's the analogy. In the closing weeks of the campaign, Donald Trump said two things about healthcare. One was, we're going to immediately repeal and replace Obamacare. And then he even threatened or suggested that he would hold a special session to take care of Obamacare right away. He now says this morning he never promised to do it in 64 days. Well, he didn't say 64 days specifically. He said immediately. Immediately in Washington terms might not be tomorrow, but 64 days is probably close to immediate, maybe 3 to 6 months. I think something big on the FBI front or in the investigation around the FBI front is coming out very soon. And it may not be the whole thing, and it wouldn't be the end of the thing, but I think there's going to be a drip, drip, drip publicly, whereas there's already been drip, drip, drip. That's what I think.
Drip, drip, drip
and
regarding
I think
Russian collusion.
I think that Comey is signaling that, and will continue to signal it if it's necessary.
Well, there it is. I knew it's far more complicated and deep than Politico chose to go as they revealed this information. And speaking of Politico, I've got a fact check for you. I alleged that one of their journalists colluded with John Podesta.
And is that correct?
Yeah, according to a April 30th, 2015 email, Politico journalist Glenn Thrush emailed Podesta by way of the WikiLeaks dump and said, I'm writing to confirm these facts. And that's a common practice, but a quote from that email, quote, please don't share or tell anyone I did this. That, to me, as a journalist, to a campaign manager, chairman,
Well, that would explain why Glenn Thrush is down at the Washington Post.
That would explain that, wouldn't it? And guess where I got the confirmation for that for you? This was published in this news source. It is an international news source published October 19th, 2016.
Okay, thank you.
It's from RT. This is an RT article.
Well, wait a minute. If it's from RT, let's hold on.
This is an RT article reporting on the WikiLeaks dump revelation that Glenn Thrush colluded with John Podesta. I don't think anybody would invest a metal pellet under his skull. That's just a squandering of resources. I think this was rogue action, because then on Twitter he tried to defend himself using all capital letters. My goal is in emailing Podesta, all caps, to get him to confirm stuff I had from lesser sources. It worked, period. Nobody controls my stories but me. Troll on. Oh, I shall. Because when you write in an email, don't tell anyone I did this,
Yeah, that's not good.
that's not good. That's simply not good. You must own up to the fact that you said that. Anyway,
Agreed.
we are dancing around on a very small portion of a much larger iceberg that involves how we got to where we are. And I don't think we're going to try to cover it much more than that. Except, what do you think's going to happen this week, John? Who will testify?
God knows. God knows. I mean, will Republicans, first of all, you have to look at what happened yesterday with the health care bill to get a sense of where many Republicans are going. Right? I mean, 15% of the Republican caucus basically was going to vote against this bill. And the numbers were growing during the day. The health care bill was at 17% favorable, according to public opinion polls, and the president is at 37. Even if he's a little higher up there where Rasmussen or Fox News may have him, Republicans are starting to read the writing on the wall, and they're starting to see what they're worried is inevitable. They're looking out for themselves. And the ones who are supporting him or said they would support him are probably the ones who are really concerned about a primary challenge, and the ones who don't are more concerned about the Democrats challenging them. And I think that translates to what's happening with intelligence and Russia and all the other stuff. I think that what happened yesterday is a sign of other things about to come out here. What they are on Russia or whatever, I don't know. Should Devin Nunes be sent, out to the desert, or for violating congressional ethics and perhaps the law? For lying?
Right. Wasn't he the one that he got a piece of information and he literally ran from the room to the White?
But he didn't. He didn't have information. He said it was coming yesterday. It didn't come. Maybe his office didn't sign the Federal Express envelope when it showed up. I don't know. But it didn't come. It was transparent that he was, and he said on Fox News, well, I thought the president's been getting a lot of bad treatment lately, and I thought he deserved to know about this. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, if the healthcare bill thing weren't out, that would have been the story of the week. I mean, and the thing is that Nunes clearly has not played a lot of poker in his life. He doesn't lie real well. He just does not have a real good poker face. So, there's going to be a growing, it's not just going to be John McCain and Lindsey Graham. There are going to be more and more Republicans say, look, it's our asses on the line. We need an independent, and we need to get this thing dealt with as early and soon as possible, so we have a year or so to recover for our own reelection. Because now the Republicans really can see how they could lose the House next year. They could see that. That there are 237 seats, and there are a couple more up in special elections. That's only 25. That's only a turnaround of 25 to lose control of the House. That if the president's at 37% and in a sea of scandal, that's very doable. They're not going to lose the Senate because they don't have many seats up compared to the Democrats, but they're starting to see it. So I don't know what's going to come out, but you're going to see more and more and more of this.
Well, you know what I like? I like that these midterms and the fear that you speak of, the John McCains and Lindsey Grahams we are up for re-election. We need something more viable than this.
Well, no, they're not. They're safe. They both got reelected last year.
Right.
They're safe. Ben Sasse, who's coming out, is safe.
But retaining the majority in Congress.
Right.
That's what you're talking about.
But I mean, I think that's it. I think McCain also, McCain. I mean, now that McCain has Trump to kick around, he doesn't have to be so resentful of Obama, because Trump has been. I mean, Obama tried, especially after the election, to be respectful toward McCain, and I think he did. That McCain just stays angry, but I mean, Trump has on several occasions gone after McCain, and McCain is chair of the Armed Services Committee. McCain can mess up a lot of stuff.
So wait a minute. I think perhaps resent and scorn will fall away in terms of national politics in favor of people having new expectations for their elected leaders. I mean, the do-nothing Congress, the most ineffective Congress ever, happened recently. I wonder if people's expectations are going to change. Somehow they got away with that, right? I wonder if people will hold new expectations for their elected leaders in the coming elections. Because resent and scorn and saying, I hate Obama for these reasons you can rally behind are gone. They have to fall away. You can't even say, I hate Clinton for these reasons.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, now, what did Trump do yesterday when they pulled the bill? He blames the Democrats. Well, you can't blame the Democrats. The Republicans spent 7 years voting 60 times to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, and then they have the chance with at least in the House, a supermajority to get rid of it, and they can't because the hard right thinks they didn't do enough, and the few moderates left in places like where you and I grew up in suburban Philadelphia and Long Island and places like that say, wait a minute, this is bad. And you've got several Republican governors saying, wait a minute. And in places that Trump, Michigan, Ohio, and Arizona, being the next big swing state, that these are messages that in the hinterlands, Republicans could be in trouble. And, again, let's give credit where credit is due here. Notice the people who have stood up publicly against Trump. They are people whom Trump has specifically gone after personally. Lindsey Graham, John McCain. Remember, a year and a half ago, Donald Trump released Lindsey Graham's personal cell phone number as a mock. He went after John McCain. John Kasich, governor of Ohio, who opposed it, went after him. Rick Snyder, governor of Michigan, who did not support Trump in the primary, went after him. In fact, 2 weeks ago when Trump was in Michigan campaigning for something, he said, Governor, get in the picture. Even though you didn't endorse me. I remember, he joked about that on camera. He has gone after these people who are getting back at him. That is not even including the FBI, the intelligence community, the Germans, the British intelligence.
Wait a minute. I got one person that Donald Trump never really went after the way he...
Vladimir Putin.
No, well, yeah. That's not who I'm thinking of, though. I'm thinking of the man who may be the most popular man in America.
He did go after him. He called him a communist, but go ahead.
But that's lowball. That's nothing. That's not like saying he's got small hands. That's not like the internal Podesta emails said about quote, doofus Bernie. I don't know. Did Donald Trump have a witty nickname for Bernie Sanders, or did he just call him a commie and move on?
He called him crazy and a communist.
Right. That's kind of the weakest among all of Trump's speechwriters during the campaign. They spent the least amount of time on insulting Bernie. And now, yes, I realize what?
You realize why? That because people from political strategists to academic political scientists were making clear that a lot of the Bernie voters and Trump voters overlap, or a lot of their interests and demographics overlap. So, I'm sure Charles Manafort, while he was sucking money out of Russia and supposedly working for Trump for free because he'd already been paid off, was telling him, don't go after Sanders, because when he loses, his voters could be your voters, and many of them were, even if they just didn't show up and vote at all. So I think that makes them political now.
So this Washington Post article, March 15th, is it describes and discusses a Fox News poll that the Washington Post uses the adjective fascinating right in the byline. Asked Americans their opinions about a number of political leaders and politically relevant organizations. No elected official included in the survey had a larger net favorability. Nobody had nobody had a larger net favorability than Senator Bernie Sanders, making him, according to this Fox News poll, the most favorable political leader among those that they were asked about. Hillary Clinton wasn't included. What do you think of that?
I think this makes sense and is historically consistent with what we've seen before. Usually the person who loses, who is the runner, either the vice president, the running mate of the losing ticket, or the running mate, or the person who finishes second in the primary contest to the eventually conquered nominee, comes out pretty popular. I would bet in that survey, if he's on the list, Tim Kaine did pretty well. And so Sanders does pretty well, I would think, because he...
I don't think Tim Kaine was on there. I don't think Tim Kaine was on.
Well, he should have been, but anyway.
Why? Why?
Because historically, that makes Tim Kaine the heir apparent for the nomination the next time around. And, but I think it makes sense. And I don't think Sanders, I don't think he alienated a lot of people. I think people like underdogs. He is a classic underdog. He overperformed even for an underdog. And
but there's nothing or dogged about this. This is Fox News. This is saying, nobody had a larger net favorability. He will not be an underdog by 2020.
Well, but he's not. He's also not running for president again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Do you think Tim Kaine will become the heir apparent, as you say? I know that other studies that came out before the inauguration said that a majority of Democrats wanted somebody they haven't heard of to run. But I have a feeling that's not going to be the case in, November 5th next year, the day after. Wait. What's Chelsea's new last name? Because I haven't. There you go. I haven't heard of that. Cha-ching! The foundation lives.
No, the Clintons are dead. The Clintons are done. The Clintons are dead. Chelsea got put on a big corporate board this week, some media outlet board.
That?
I don't know whether it was. I don't know who it was. Was it BuzzFeed? I don't know what it was. No, the Clintons are done, and they know it. There's not going to be another Hillary rebirth. She's not going to run the guilt third time around. How did Elizabeth Warren do in this survey, by the way?
I don't know. I'm looking at the Washington Post article that discusses it. I did not go to Fox News, but I can find out for you.
No, it's okay, because I had seen data recently that point out that Elizabeth Warren did not have a very good favorable rating now, and that was a setback for her hopes to run for president. I think that's completely meaningless information right now.
Well, thank you. But
anyway, no, I think it is no surprise, and this is a credit to him. There's no surprise. I mean, Bernie Sanders, as I have been highly critical, as you know, of the way he ran his campaign and how he addressed issues and how the media addressed him. But I mean, he is to be respected. He ran He brought a lot of issues out. He did a lot of good things. He even was a good, fairly loyal trooper to the party of which he is not a member during the election campaign. And, every hats off to Bernie for being, and by the way, Sanders was out there in January beating the Bushes for, not the Bush family, but the figurative Bushes, for, organizing to protect Obamacare rallies in the weeks before the inauguration. So, I mean, he continues to light the prairie fires and keep them going. And certainly that popular movement, that resistance, that we've seen in town hall meetings and all that, that has a lot to do with, why 30-some Republicans were going to vote their president, who, whatever we say about him, is historically popular among Republicans, or at least was until this week. So, Bernie gets a lot of credit.
I've got your numbers for you. These are Fox News, March 2017 net favorability numbers. So and this is across both sides, identifies Democrat, Republican, Independent, between the viewed favorably and the viewed unfavorably. Bernie is up 29. That is
29. I thought he was in right.
Right. Net 29% favorable. Secondly, Planned Parenthood at 25%.
Planned Parenthood was very high too. I saw that. Yes.
Third is Elizabeth Warren.
Okay. See, her ratings have exploded recently.
Now her net is only 8 points as far as the viewed favorably, viewed unfavorably. There's a lot of folks that don't like her. There's just a few more that do. Mike Pence is next in line.
Mike Pence is +4.
That's right. Yeah. And then Obamacare is +3. That kind of explains what happened yesterday. The Freedom Caucus was not... Most people didn't understand what it was. And then you get into the unfavorable ratings. At the very bottom of the list is Mitch McConnell. What's gonna happen with Mitch McConnell, dude? Really? Like
nothing. Nothing. Mitch McConnell is a very smart bureaucratic politician. He knows exactly. He knows how to keep his distance from the president, which he's done and doing. He's not going to bring anything to the Senate that isn't going to pass. And he'll be in the news when the Democrats start filibustering the Supreme Court nomination. Nothing's going to happen to Mitch McConnell because Mitch McConnell does the dirty work that majority leaders and speakers of the House and, party leaders are supposed to do. And, he doesn't want to be president. He doesn't want to be anything other than senator, and which is what he's done for 35 years. And nothing's going to happen to him. Paul Ryan, on the other hand.
Yeah, what do you think? Do you have any Paul Ryan predictions?
Well, clearly the president is trying to blame everything on Paul Ryan and the Democrats. The Republicans own health care. They own it. If they do nothing, which they've done, and I don't see why they still can't do something, because clearly things need to be done, but they own it. Even if it's called Obamacare, they own it. And so, you can try to blame Democrats, but, clearly the White House strategy on healthcare is to let things continue to be bad as they see them and then, use liberal guilt to help so that the Democrats want to come and fix it so that they own it again. And I don't think they want to own it. I think they're enjoying watching the Republicans, barely keep their noses above the swamp water.
Let's wrap up this unfavorable favorability discussion. I'm looking at the when they broke out just the Democrats, And of course, Bernie has a 77% net favorability rating among Democrats, and Donald Trump has a negative 83%. That is, 83% of Democrats polled believe they view Trump's actions as unfavorable. I've never seen a country so polarized. I'm extrapolating based on these pieces of data, but look, Comey is calling again. He knows, man. He knows. Let's get to the quiz here on Trigger Warning, so then you can take the FBI director's call and get on with your daily testimony, John.
No, actually, that's not Jim Comey, because Jim Comey called collect.
Oh, there you go.
I want the listeners, as I told you last week, to imagine that I am this is mostly serious and newsy, because all of it is real news, although there are fake news inspired answer choices.
And I have the questions in front of me, which is not protocol.
Well, wait a minute. Apparently Jim Comey doesn't speak to me. Can we suspend this call for 5 minutes and come back to it?
Oh, absolutely. That gives me a chance to show off my banjo skills.
Okay, you do that.
Go ahead and hang up and call me back when necessary. While digesting Reader's Digest in the back of a dirty bookstore, a plastic flag with gum on the back fell out on the floor. Well, I picked it up and I ran outside, slapped it on my window shield. And if I could see old Betsy Ross, I'd tell her how good I feel. But your flag decal won't get you into heaven anymore. They're already overcrowded from your dirty little wars. Now Jesus don't like killing, no matter what the reasons for. And your flag decal won't get you into heaven anymore. Well, I went to the bank this morning, and the cashier said to me, if you join the Christmas club, we'll give you 10 of these flags for free. Well, I didn't mess around a bit. I took her up on what she said, and I stuck those stickers all over my car and one on my wife's forehead. But your flag decal won't get you into heaven anymore. They're already overcrowded from your dirty little wars. Now Jesus don't like killing, no matter what the reasons for. And your flag decal won't get you into heaven anymore. Shield so filled with flags I couldn't see, so I ran the car upside a curb and right into a tree. By the time they got a doctor down, I was already dead, and I'll never understand why the man standing in the pearly gates said, your flag decal won't get you into heaven anymore. They're already overcrowded with your dirty little war. Now Jesus don't like killing, no matter what the reasons for. And your flag decal won't get you into heaven. Hey, you're listening to Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio. John Ross, Chris Smith here.
Hello.
In the high desert. John, do you know the John Prine song, Your Flag Decal Won't Get You Into Heaven Anymore?
I must say I am not familiar.
Oh my goodness. Well, the audience has one up on you because that's what I've been busying myself with. As how did your call with Comey go?
He gives his regards, and he's very nice on a Saturday morning.
Was he able to share any info with you, or did he have to keep it all quiet?
Yes, you know what he said? He said that he agreed with me that the Denzel Washington, Meryl Streep version of Manchurian Candidate doesn't count.
It just doesn't count? It doesn't exist?
And apparently he had a role as an extra in that, which I think is just amazing.
Jim Comey did?
Apparently so.
You know who I did spot was Senator Al Franken. He is in that.
Yes, I'm sure he was there.
Yes. But I don't think he would let anybody inject a metal pellet into his head.
No.
Good. Now, here on Trigger Warnings, it's time for the quiz. This week, John has written it and is going to quiz me. Now, it's new protocol. I've got the questions and answers in front of me.
You have the questions in front of you, but hopefully you are not searching for the answers.
No. I was busy singing John Prine.
And as I was saying when Director Comey so rudely interrupted me, as I told you last week, while this is all serious news with fake news inspired twists, I do see myself as a bit of an entertainer. And as I said to you last week, I want you to consider me in this role as a cross between Alex Trebek and Art Fern. Art Fern, for those listeners, was the Johnny Carson character in the Tea Time movie that was made so popular in his and the Tonight Show.
Yeah, I meant to research Art Fern this week so I would get the reference because you were very excited about it, but
right now, of course, until this week, I have been Karnak the Magnificent, where I am divining the answers to many questions.
Shim shalabim.
This week I am Art Fern. I am the offspring of a strange marriage, so to speak, of Art Fern and Alex Trebek. So I just want you and the listening audience to keep that in mind. Are you ready? Are you ready for the first question?
That's the voice. That's great. Yes, I am. Bring it on.
The framework for all of these questions is the same. There is an actual quote from an actual living person, and the question and the multiple choices all revolve around who uttered this quote, and in many cases, the context of the quote. So here's an easy one to start. Question number one. Here's the quote. Obamacare is the law of the land. Who said this? A, Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch, filling in the blank in an answer to a question he gave about 73 times at his confirmation hearing this week. Ex-president and semi-pro water skier Barack H. Obama, in a tweet, urging Democrats and supporters to continue their advocacy for his eponymous health care legislation. I love the word eponymous. B, ex-vice president and Social Security recipient Joe Biden during a Washington visit this week to rouse Democrats against Republican repeal and replace efforts. D, House Speaker and frustrated Wisconsin Badgers fan Paul Ryan in a statement Friday night, who said Obamacare is the law of the land.
I mean, it wasn't Obama. He's busy. I don't think it was Paul Ryan. I don't think it was the Supreme Court. I think it was Joe Biden.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
No, it was Paul Ryan in a great statement Friday, licking his wounds. Apparently, he did a 2-hour powerlifting session afterwards, I think. All right, you are 0 for 1.
Out of how many? Is this 100 questions? 20?
There are 15 questions. I have kept it compact. Because anything you would want to know about what happened in the news this week, somehow or some other, is contained in one of the possible answers to these 15 questions.
This is fantastic. Okay,
Okay,
number 2.
question number 2. You are 0 for 1. Here's the quote. It's their so-called 3-bucket solution, which is all the good stuff is in bucket 3. Who uttered these words this week, and what are the buckets to which he or she referred? A, CBS Sports basketball commentator and overuser of dumb phraseology Bill Raftery, referring to an incredible run of three-point shooting by the high-scoring Oregon Ducks. B, famous for 15 minutes in the 2008 election figure Joe the Plumber, discussing his strategy for small business success on his home shopping network reality show, which is coincidentally called Taking the Plunge. C, the world's most dislikable person, Texas Senator Ted Cruz, dissing the House Republicans' Obamacare repeal and replace plan. Or D, CNN travelogue guru Andrew Bourdain, referring to a guest bucket list travel plan.
Now, wait a minute. Look at that. Answer D is fake.
It could be.
No, it is. It is, because that man's name is Anthony Bourdain, and you have it listed here as Andrew Bourdain, so therefore I can eliminate that answer. I don't think it's Joe the Plumber. I think it's the world's most dislikable person, Ted Cruz.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
Or would you like to call a friend?
No.
That's an excellent answer and the right one, and it is Anthony Bourdain. I'm sorry. I did not mean, that was not intended as a fake news inspired answer.
But see, that's how it happens. That's how things get messed up in the way that they have.
You know, he has an evil twin named Andrew Bourdain who travels. He does unusual traveling, like, you know, the sewers and catacombs in Paris. But nonetheless, you are batting 500. Number 3. Here's the quote. It's really sad that we're in an environment where tax returns are leaked by whoever it may be, when personal information is put out by people for political agendas. As a civilian, it's actually scary to me. Who said that? A, Oprah Winfrey, responding to uncovered WikiLeaks files that disclose her personal income days after she wondered out loud in an interview with British media that she has recently considered running for president in 2020. B, first-time father-to-be, Eric Trump. Congratulations, Eric. You have impregnated someone. On the release by MSNBC of his father's 2005 1040 return, which, coincidentally enough, failed to list Eric as his father's dependent. C, forgotten presidential daughter Tiffany Trump, wishing she'd gotten some of her father's millions. Or D, forgotten homewrecker, second wife, and Dancing with the Stars also ran Marla Maples, mixing a kale and cardboard shake while doing a scary yoga pose and wondering why she didn't get more in the divorce settlement.
Wow.
Is it a Trump, a former Trump, or an Oprah?
This is really
and
tricky.
Trump,
The quote says, you know, it's as a civilian, the leaking of tax returns are scary to me. Oprah, I can't imagine she would ever identify herself as, quote, a civilian. Nor can I imagine anybody last name Trump saying that to the public.
And that means there's no right answer.
I forgot that Marla Maples existed. I didn't know Tiffany Trump existed. Who is that?
Tiffany Trump is Marla and Donald's daughter.
See, I don't know why I don't know these things. Look, and there is a right answer. Okay.
One of them is the right answer, although there could be fake news inspired elements as an add-on to the correct answer. But
yeah, see, my questions always had, according to Politico this week, quote, somebody said this. Now, where did this quote come from?
I think it was Politico.
Did Glenn Thrush? That's my answer. Glenn Thrush. Via Podesta.
Is that your final answer?
That is. I'm going with E.
No, it was Eric Trump. Eric Trump.
That would have been my answer. I would have guessed that.
Eric Trump. But I think on the upside, Eric Trump did learn this week, or did announce this week, that his wife is expecting.
That's
and
wonderful.
It will be this. It's wonderful. It'll be their first child, and only the best.
Are you going to send a gift? Listen to you.
I'm searching the internet for the registry. Usually you can find things like that on the internet, but for some reason Eric Trump is not there.
What do you get for that child? You should tweet us. That's our question this week. Tweet us at T_warnings. Let us know what trigger warning should get Eric Trump's new child.
What will you get for the Trump fetal material? I'm getting a silver spoon. Okay. Ooh. You have 1 up and 2 down.
Well, that's because I rejected the last question. But
that's right.
Let's keep going.
If there was right. 4. Certainly we shouldn't have left. We should never, ever have left. And a vacuum was created. And we discussed what happened. Who said these words, and where is the vacuum? A, so-called president and unindicted sex offender Donald J. Trump regrets that the U.S. terminated its occupation of Iraq. B, Stanley Steamer CEO Wesley Bates responding to a lawsuit by an Omaha homeowner after one of the company's patented carpet shampoo devices was left turned on too long, causing a fire and $50,000 in damages. I did have Stanley Steamer in my house in the last week. C, one-time semi-movie star Keanu Reeves on his 2001 decision to bow out of a potential remake of The Matrix, referring to his lukewarm career ever since. Or D, Jonas Samuelsson, CEO of Swedish vacuum cleaner manufacturer Electrolux, at the company's annual shareholder meeting, stating his regret that the previous management team had been unable to complete a merger with U.S. competitor Hoover in 2015, the year before Samuelson became CEO. The previous management team's failure to conclude the Hoover merger prompted major stockholders to buy out the former top executives at the cost of billions of kronors, those are Swedish money, leading to poor earnings in fiscal 2016 and 16. 2 of the possible answers relate to companies that make vacuum cleaners.
That's true.
And that's why this is such a brilliant quiz. Is it?
I can tell you, and it's a matter of language. The power is in the language and the sentence structure. I can tell you that this sentence structure looks familiar to me. It's the cadence of Donald J. Trump on the campaign trail speaking extemporaneously. Certainly, right? Comma, we shouldn't have left, period. Declarative sentence, beautiful, adverb kicks it off. We should never ever have left. You don't put these words into a sequence unless you're just thinking off the top of your head. Period. And then, a vacuum was created, comma, and we discussed what happened. The joining of those ideas, it's run of the mouth, it's Donald Trump.
Okay, but this was uttered this week. I did not dig up something from 6 months ago. You are correct. However, the CEOs of Stanley Steamer and Electrolux really are the people whose names I put in here.
Oh, great.
Because there is integrity and truth in my fake news.
Well, I'll ask Andrew Bourdain about that.
Would you do that? Yes. All right. Thank you. Point taken. Okay. You are 2 for 2. You are 2 for 4. You are batting 500. Very good. Okay. Who said this, and about what or whom did he or she say it? The felonious dissemination of classified material most definitely is a crime. The felonious dissemination of classified material most definitely is a crime. A, frazzled White House Press Secretary and Melissa McCarthy impersonator Sean Spicer on the rampaging flood of executive branch leaks. B, House Intelligence Committee member and erstwhile Benghazi Committee Chair Trey Gowdy spinning like a whirling dervish at a religious retreat at this week's hearing to concern the president's lies about wiretapping. C, Thelonious Monk, son of the late jazz legend Thelonious Monk, angered that his father's collection of private music scores and arrangements donated to Morehouse College in Atlanta was illegally copied and distributed by a rogue college employee upset over her termination. Or D, House Intelligence Panel Chair Devin Nunes on the as yet unrevealed piece of so-called intelligence he may or may not have that may or may not kind of maybe be related to a word that is a forthcoming synonym of wiretap.
Man, this is tough.
Is it a member of the House Intelligence Committee, its chair, Sean McCarthy Spicer, or Thelonious Monk?
All right, I'm going to rule out the Thelonious Monk. That seems made up to me, but it maybe not.
Are you suggesting that there's a fake news element to
Yeah,
this?
I think that's fake news. I think it's a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Well, wait a minute. Answer B names Trey Gowdy as a House Intelligence Committee member, and answer D identifies Devin Nunes as a House Intelligence Panel chair.
Well,
is that the same group that you're speaking of?
Yes, it is the same.
Oh, I see. Just in answer B, you call it a committee, and in answer D, you call it a panel.
Okay.
Thank you.
They are eponymous.
I think it's D. I think it's D, because I don't think Trey Gowdy was at a religious retreat, unless that's what they're calling Congress these days. Oh.
No. It does not say that he was at a religious retreat. It said he was spinning like a whirling dervish at a religious retreat. It is using a simile to suggest...
Wait a minute. No, due to the grammar, it can be he's spinning like a whirling dervish, and he's physically at a religious retreat, or he's spinning like a whirling dervish at a religious retreat. You don't know where the metaphor stops.
No, it says at this week's hearing.
Well, you can do that too.
The simile, unless the religious retreat was this week's hearing.
That's what I'm getting at. Oh, dude, it's B or D. And I want to split the difference and say E, Comey, but I'm gonna go with Devin Nunes.
You are wrong. It is Trey Gowdy, the man who looked like his face was run over by a tractor.
Oh my goodness!
Have you seen the flat nose on that guy?
The things you learn in this quiz, in the name of radical empathy. I am so glad you have taken this on. We are not 50% through this quiz, and I have learned so much.
This is my new mission in life. No, because Trey Gowdy because the Republicans, except for Nunes, who actually held up pretty well in that hearing, saying that there is a gray cloud over the White House, all the other Republicans were focusing on the leak. Oh, the leaks are bad. Leaks bad. Well, the Benghazi Committee was all about leaks and revealing them and leaking stuff about nothing. But that was Trey Gowdy. You are 2 up and 3 down, but there is a pattern. You have gotten all the even-numbered questions correct, and therefore I have great faith that you will get this next even-numbered question correct. Question number 6, who said this? And to or about whom did he say it? You don't know how to listen. It's obvious to me that if we continue this, no member of Congress will want to meet with people. Is it A, former presidential lawyer, legal rumor monger, conspiracy theorist, and supposedly Supreme Court consideree Andrew Napolitano on Fox Radio shouting down Alan Colmes, the only non-Republican on the entire network, during a discussion of Trump care? B, unindicted pervert Carlos Danger, a.k.a. Anthony Weiner, on what he considers inappropriate definitions.
Oh my goodness! Wait a minute. Oh my goodness! You can start that one.
Unindicted pervert Carlos Danger that on what he considers inappropriate definitions of, quote, ethics standards that he believes have killed his political future and marriage on Keith Olbermann's nightly webcast. C, Attorney General Jeff Call Me Beauregard Sessions on liberal activists who he says are being paid by George Soros to disrupt Republican town hall meetings, also on Fox News. Or D, Texas Congressman and House Rules Committee Chair, another Sessions here, Pete Sessions, upset with his own constituents and threatening never to hold another town hall meeting at a town hall meeting to his constituents. Again, the quote, you don't know how to listen. It's obvious to me that if we continue this, no member of Congress will want to meet with people.
Yeah, Andrew Napolitano on Fox Radio would have there's no reason for him to say that. It wouldn't get him anywhere. And didn't Alan Combs pass away?
No, Alan Combs was taken off Fox TV, and he does, at least the last time I checked, he still has a column and he still has a radio show, and they give him a piece of the website. But
Fox pundit passed away recently. I can't remember which one. Anyway, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's Anthony Weiner, Carlos Danger. I don't think it could be Jeff Sessions. But I think that the quote, you don't know how to listen, there's who are we talking to? I think it's the Texas Congressman and House Rules Committee Chair Pete Sessions.
You are correct.
Yay!
In fact, I picked it off because he was shouting down his own constituents who were shouting at him about Obamacare. And he said, well, you don't know how to listen. We're never going to have another town hall meeting. And he said it at a town hall meeting to his constituents, which I think is classy.
Well,
okay.
You think that's classy, man. You wait to see what happens next.
Oh, you wait. I am really hoping that we break the trend here and that you answer an odd number question correct.
I know. Here's my opportunity.
This is this is one of my favorite questions, simply because of the diversity of possible tentacles of thought that may emanate from it. Who said these words, and about what? I think they'll probably pay a price at home. Yeah, there's a price to be paid. A, Luis Hermonas, a kingpin in the extensive network of imprisoned Mexican drug lord El Chapo, in a letter to Mexican President Nieto, referring to retaliation against the well-compensated tipsters who told the government where to find and arrest El Chapo. B, New England Patriots owner and Donald Trump brown-noser Robert Kraft, to Boston reporters upon the revelation that a Mexican businessman had stolen star quarterback and Trump aficionado Tom Brady's Super Bowl jersey. The revelation came about through release of previously secret locker room closed circuit video. C, embattled White House press secretary and Melissa McCarthy impersonator Sean Spicer during a daily press briefing commenting on House Republicans who threatened to vote against the American Health Care Act. Or D, hot geezer, political activist and outliver of ex-husband Jane Fonda, in an interview with BuzzFeed, complaining about, quote, late incoming millennials who she says turned out in underwhelming numbers in the election, costing Hillary Clinton the presidency. Nowhere will you find a more diverse array of possible answers to this very tricky question. But I have great faith in your newsiness and your brain, and I trust that you will come up with the right answer.
Thank you. Well, and
who said I think they'll probably pay a price at home? Yeah, there's a price to be paid.
It's extemporaneous, off the top of your head thinking, and taken out of context, it could be any of these people. I don't think BuzzFeed would go pestering Jane Fonda about anything. I don't think if a drug lord who's in prison, if he wrote a letter to a Mexican president, that president would get that letter would get published.
I didn't say that Luis Hermonas is in prison. I said he's a kingpin in El Chapo's network. I didn't say he's in prison. El
Yeah, there's
Chapo's
no, in the name of Homeland Security, Mexico would not let that letter get out unless the kingpin.
Maybe he leaked it.
Right, and that's too big of a hole, too big of a plot line and answer.
El Chapo was he was.
Tom Brady's Super Bowl jersey got stolen. I could care less, so I'm just gonna have to write that
but
one off.
The story came out this week.
Did it really?
A real Mexican businessman really stole that jersey, and the video proved it.
Well, it's not, though. It's definitely Sean Spicer, I think.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
First of all, El Chapo was in the news this week because some American politicians said El Chapo means the chap. Okay. B, the Tom Brady story is absolutely accurate. It was revealed that a Mexican businessman was in the locker room and he came out with a bulge in his bag, and that it turns out that was it. And it was closed circuit, previously unreleased video that revealed it. And BuzzFeed has been doing some incredible political reporting lately. And Jane Fonda would fit perfectly into that. And it was announced that her third season of her show with Lily Tomlin will be back on, is it Amazon or Netflix? But it is Sean Spicer. You got it right.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just letting you know that even the fake news ones are real.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
and can I just clarify? You wanted to make sure we all knew it was true. And to say BuzzFeed is doing some incredible political reporting makes me want to go to BuzzFeed. If I find a story about, as you say, quote, hot geezer and political activist and outliver of ex-husbands Jane Fonda talking about what went wrong half a year ago, I mean, sure, normal circumstances, that's completely acceptable, but that today is not stellar political reporting. There's a lot more going on than that.
No, I just made that one up because I wanted a fourth answer.
Oh, you did make that? Okay, cool. See, I knew.
And BuzzFeed is doing some pretty interesting political. McKay Coppins does some really interesting political. All right, you are up. It is 4 up, 3 down. That's what she said. So this is my favorite question of all of them. This is why I put it right in the middle. Are you ready? Question number 8. We are aware of instances where our mission had decided to purchase and use these cutouts. The missions have been asked to no longer use these for their events. Unquote. Of which popular figure are these cutouts referring to, and who has pledged to stop using them? A, Pope Francis. The Vatican has ordered its missions and diocesan branches in the U.S. to stop allowing passersby and parishioners to pose for pictures and leave donations with a cutout of the Holy Father in front of Catholic offices and parishes. B, Brigham Young and Joseph Smith, the founders and figureheads of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Almost nonagenarian, that means 90 years old, church leader Thomas Monson thinks it's unholy, quote, to use life-size figures of the church's most prominent figures as, quote, props at Mormon temples across the U.S. and overseas. C, devilishly dreamy Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The Canadian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has told its U.S. embassies and consulates to, quote, cut out the use of life-size Trudeau cutouts because the popularity of selfies taken by pedestrians outside Canadian installations has become a traffic and security concern. Or D, the Reverend Sun Myung Moon, the late founder of the Unification Church. U.S. church officials have learned that some cutouts of Reverend Moon have been photographed and photoshopped into online promotional material for the church, including what have turned out to be inaccurate portrayals of its mass weddings. Whose cutout is now gone? Pope Francis, Mormons, Justin Trudeau, Reverend Moon.
Fascinating question. Fascinating.
It is really a great news story. And it's a real news story, really.
It's not Justin Trudeau because the quote says missions. And I can't imagine a government statement calling their embassies and consulates missions. So that one's out. Unification Church, I don't think so. I don't think the visual to recognize Brigham Young and Joseph Smith visually isn't. No, I think it's the Pope.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
Well, you were stumped. It is devilishly dreamy Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
What? Missions? I'm going to go down to the Canadian mission?
Well, no, a mission is not, a mission is a generic word for offices or outposts of a corporate or governmental entity, just like the Catholic Church has missions that aren't necessarily places where you worship. They are offices. So that, yes, the mission is a diplomatic term.
Goodness me.
But apparently, Justin Trudeau, people like taking selfies with Justin Trudeau, and in places, and the Canadian government has consulates and trade offices in central cities, and apparently it's causing traffic and security concerns. So there you go. Isn't that a great question? Don't you just love that one? I just loved it. By the way, I will let you know, I hate to give away my sources of inspiration, but one of the places I go to find these things is FARC. FARC has some really good fake news sounding real news.
Okay. So all of those are true? No.
No, the only one that's true is Justin Trudeau. I made everything else up.
Okay.
Anyway, you realize that I may have a future as an intelligence officer.
I know how much fun making these quizzes are. So
this is great fun. Great fun. All right, so you're 4 up and 4 down, but at least you got 2 in a row right. Let's break our losing streak here. Number 9. Here's the quote. Russian bots and internet trolls sought to propagate stories underground. Unquote. Who said this and around what issue? A. InfoWars host Alex Jones, in a secret recording in which he bragged over his radio show's use of high-tech trolling on his website that promoted fake news about Hillary Clinton and might have contributed to Donald Trump's election. B. A former Breitbart employee whistleblowing anonymously about his company's partnership with the Russian government that promoted fake news about Hillary Clinton and might have contributed to Donald Trump's election. C. A former Pentagon official speaking to McClatchy News, which broke the story that part of the FBI's investigation of the Trump campaign and administration involved whether conservative media InfoWars and Breitbart collaborated with Russia to promote fake news about Hillary Clinton that might have contributed to Donald Trump's election. Or D, an anonymous Russian intelligence officer confirming the whole story to RT News, the Russian propaganda broadcast network. So this is a real news story.
Yeah, no, I think I saw this. I think it's C. A former Pentagon official said Russian bots and internet trolls sought to propagate stories underground. I think it was C.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Why do you think a Pentagon official is leaking the story to a news agency? Do you think Jim Comey wants us to know that not only are they investigating the Trump campaign and the Trump administration, but right-wing media, including right-wing media that used to be run by the top, or at least in Thatcher, the second top person in the White House? Do you think that's a coincidence?
I think that's very insightful. That's the most insightful thing that's happened on this quiz so far. Besides that you did or still think Jane Fonda is hot.
She's a hot 77-year-old. Yes, she is. She's hot.
But this is more important. I'm sorry. This is fascinating, and you're right. Why? Well, wait. A former Pentagon official. So you're implying that it's plausible and reasonable to think that somebody like Jim Comey could have called this, say, retired Pentagon official.
No, he's not. Well, actually, the person was named. I didn't give you his name, but so he was not anonymous.
Oh.
I just said it was. I was trying to make the question a little trickier by not giving his name, although sometimes giving the name makes it more tricky.
Yes.
But
great.
yeah, I think that's a like, again, if this were a normal news week in the pre-Trump era, that would have been the story of the week. As it turned out, it is just it's not even a top 10 story this week, but it might be the most important one.
Ooh.
Because if American news entities are collaborating with a foreign power, God knows. All right, question 10, you are 5 up and 4 down.
Okay.
Again, another true story, absolutely true story. People magazine this week profiled several Texas women who have paid upwards of $60,000 for plastic surgery treatment so they can resemble a certain celebrity. One of these patients, Nora Stewart, said about her transformation that, quote, at first the healing process was painful, but after that I'm absolutely happy with the results. Which celebrity do these women wish to resemble? A, Melania Trump. B, Ivanka Trump. C, Donald Trump. D, Tiffany Trump. E, Trump Tower.
Oh.
If you were a Texas woman with money,
$60,000 a piece?
you wanted to spend up to $60,000 for plastic surgery to look like some entity with the name Trump.
Oh, I can't even, dude, I can't even stomach this.
That's why it's in the quiz. Because it's true. It's real news. It sounds like fake news, but it's real news. It's not fake news.
Making me nauseous with people's idolatry. This is idol worship. Christians can open the Bible and find comment about what you're supposed to do with $60,000, and I don't think it's supposed to. You're supposed to turn half your face plastic so you can look like it's either Melania or Ivanka.
It doesn't say face. Plastic for $60,000, you got to do more than the face. I've worked with facial plastic surgeons. $60,000, you're doing more than above the neck.
This is gross. This is absolutely gross.
I mean, it could be a man anyway, nonetheless. It is women. Okay, so
it's Melania or Ivanka. It's a coin flip to me. You've never listed a right answer in the A slot, so I'm going to go with A, Melania.
Oh, you have been rused again. It is Ivanka.
See, and you know what, dude? I don't know if I could pick these people out of a lineup. That's how much I'm interested in the family.
Wait, the question 4 that you got right was an A answer. That was Donald Trump saying we shouldn't have left. That was your rhetorical analysis. So,
man,
and in fact, yes, so that there was an A answer. So I did not. You did not do your review of your own answers. You need your number 2 pencil out sharper.
This is just I don't know. I'm blown away. I'm distracted by this question. I
Texas women want to look like Ivanka and not Melania.
All right, there it is.
Oh. Anyway. All right, number 11. So we're at 5 up and 5 down.
Do they all live in? Wait, do these women are they in a certain community? Is there a place in Texas that this is becoming in vogue? It has to be.
Plastic surgery is a very big thing among women with money. Cosmetic plastic surgery. There is a lot of plastic surgery that is not cosmetic. This clearly was cosmetic.
Right, and I understand that, but oh man, okay. And People Magazine can kiss it for wasting their page on that. Look at that. What the hell is that?
By the way, according to today's headline, Ivanka's neighbors in Kalorama are very upset that she leaves her trash out. But nonetheless, that will be on next week's quiz, perhaps. All right, question 11. This is going to the dark side of the net.
Oh.
The nuclear force of blank is the treasured sword of justice and the most reliable war deterrent to defend the motherland and the life of its people. Which entity made this statement? A, Russia. B, North Korea. C, Commonwealth Edison speaking about its East Coast nuclear plan. D, Germany, spoken by Adolf Hitler projecting nuclear capability but falling short in his bunker with Eva Braun, enjoying a cyanide-laced schnapps. So this is going back. I remember I threatened the Wayback Machine. This could be a Wayback Machine question.
Wait a minute, and this becomes tricky because I would love to see the original language, do my own translation. I'm going with B, North Korea.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, the treasured sword of justice. That's not Vladimir Putin talk.
Yeah, it is. It is North Korea.
Yes.
Actually, it was North Korea through a spokesman for ComEd, but no, it was North Korea. Very
the
good.
only way that you could find humor in that was to go Nazi Germany. That was the, and also East Coast nuclear. I mean, it is grim. You are absolutely right. Okay.
This one is so you are 6 up and 5 down, but this one may throw you. This one has five options.
At least.
Who said this? Who said this week? I didn't want this job. I didn't pick this job. My wife told me I'm supposed to do this. Is it A, soon-to-be ex-Speaker of the House and all-around modern dad Paul Ryan, known to be wary of spending too much time away from his daughters in their Janesville, Wisconsin home? The Ryans have not relocated to Washington or approached us a second home there like other congressional families. Is it B, would-be traitor and spare-time Russian speaker Donald J. Igor Trump showing a modicum of modesty for once in his life? Is it C, FBI director and really tall guy James Comey, referring to those really big bags under his eyes that have emerged from months of controversy and multiple sensitive investigations after last Monday's shocking congressional testimony? Is it D, Oxford graduate and would-be Trump sensationalist Rachel Maddow getting a bit defensive over criticism of her Trump taxes almost non-story from 2 weeks back because her wife could have told her to do this? Diplomatic non-entity and ex-oil man Rex Tillerson speaking Texan for noblesse oblige.
Oh, goodness.
Who doesn't want this job and didn't seek it, but whose wife told him or her that he or she was supposed to do this? Paul Ryan, Igor Trump, Jim Comey, Dr. Rachel Maddow, Rex Tillerson.
I think it's Paul Ryan. The detail that the Ryans have not relocated to Washington or purchased a second home there, to me, is a pretty telling detail if it is in fact true, which I'm going to take it to be. Yeah, I think so. A.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I mean, if I were to phone a friend, a few of them would be on here. I'd phone Jim Comey.
So Jim Comey would be your backup answer?
Well, no, I know he would know.
Oh.
No, I'm going with Paul Ryan. I don't want this job. I didn't seek this job. My wife told me I'm supposed to do this. And he's probably referring to being the majority guy.
The Speaker of the House, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Paul Ryan clearly did not want to be Speaker of the House.
Right.
Did you like the Rachel Maddow option?
Yeah, no, but she, as the Rogue POTUS Twitter account has said, she's in the business of telling you what you want to hear for $8 million a year. I think she does want the job. She has sought the job. And her wife, who I've never heard of, probably does tell her to, keep doing what you're doing. Including making, a mountain out of a molehill in terms of a 1040 return.
I need to pat myself on the back.
Oh, my.
Because I sold you on Paul Ryan, and it's Rex Tillerson.
No.
It is Rex. Well, Rex Tillerson is acting like somebody who didn't want or seek the job and whose wife told him to do it because she's afraid of what he's going to do if he's retired around the house. It is Rex Tillerson.
I guess I was really thrown because the answer was very short.
I know. But at diplomatic non-entity, Rex Tillerson was kind of
Oh,
a
and you
doer.
know what? You know what? Why I wouldn't go with that? Ex-oil man Rex Tillerson. What's X about that? What do you mean
He
ex-oil
left his
man?
post. He left his post at Exxon. That makes him an ex-oil man.
Do you think
I
that
didn't
means
say
he's no
Exxon
longer
oil
working on
man,
their
I said
behalf?
I could have said ex-oil man or ex-Exxon. But
That
I
would have
just-
been helpful. That would have been helpful. A couple more X's would have been helpful. Oh,
well,
man.
his
So
name
what?
already has a in it.
We're at
You know, I
question
think-
13, but I have 6 right and 6 wrong?
Yeah, I'm surprised that he didn't change his first name to Rexon. But anyway,
Ooh, Rexon Tillerson, you heard it here first. Very
I have
nice.
not in this question because he is a Texan, and that has another X in it. Okay. All right. Question 13. Here's the quote, the shortest quote of the week. Hello, Bob. I pulled it. Who said these words to whom and under what circumstances? Only 3 answers, by the way. A, frantic, aging, wannabe movie star again, Mickey Rourke, to his personal trainer after hurting himself on the set of The Wrestler 2. B, off-duty casino cocktail waitress Helena Schmidt in great excitement over hitting a $2 million jackpot at a Rio Casino Las Vegas slot machine and a text message to her husband. Or C, snake oil salesman Donald J. Trump calling Washington Post reporter Robert Costas to tell him personally there would not be a vote on the American Health Care Act, a.k.a. Trump Care. Hello, Bob. I pulled it.
I think that's Trump calling the press.
But it's not in the syntax of a typical Trumpian quote.
Well, this is if that is the right answer, then you're getting that from inside of the Washington Post article that you read, and
It is, yeah, that is the correct answer. Yeah, Bob Costa wrote down saying, so I get my phone rings and it has unidentified number and I pick it up and it's the president. Hello, Bob. I pulled it.
right? No, and wait, it's very short, but it still resembles to me the psychology of our great leader.
Yes.
I pulled it. That is, the reality is I failed at the attempt of trying to, undo Obamacare, but I am in charge. I took action. Whatever it is,
Yes.
I have control and domination over. So that's why I got that one
Even
right.
though-
Wonderful question. I'm back in the lead.
And wouldn't you have liked to have been a fly on the wall when Paul Ryan trots over to the White House yesterday after the president said, you're going to have a vote because I want to know who supports us and who doesn't, so that everybody would be made clear and he could exact revenge potentially down the road, only to yank it and then take credit for yanking it when supposedly the president can't pull a bill, only a member of Congress. Anyway, interesting. All right, number 14. If you get this or the next one right, you will be above 500. You will clinch. You will avoid total embarrassment. Quote, we have said we expect this to be a 2-year process. We are confident that is what we will achieve. Who said this and in reference to what historic event?
Oh,
A,
no. I know that was my one of the advisors that I had in my doctoral degree adventure.
that is option F. This also has 5 options. All right, A, a spokesman for British Prime Minister Theresa May speaking to the UK's commitment to exit the European Union by March 29, 2019, per the 2016 Brexit referendum. B, a surgeon on the team working on the world's first penis transplant, which is occurring as we speak, speaking to the multiple procedures and microsurgeries required to complete the process for the patient, a 53-year-old penile cancer survivor. C, the general manager of Major League Baseball's Houston Astros responding to questions about his guarantee that the club would reach the World Series in 2017-18. D, Pope Francis, expanding on his remarks that some priests serving remote or underserved regions might be able to marry. Or E, the Danish benefactor of the latest biosphere initiative set for a May 2019 rollout. The sponsors have reportedly struggled to obtain the $12.5 million they need to keep the project on track. something is on course for completion in 2 years, and this speaker promises that it will happen. Brexit, penis transplants, Houston Astros in the World Series, Pope Francis and married priest, or biosphere 6.
Yeah, no, it's in the language again. We have said we expect this to be a 2-year process. We are confident that is what we will achieve. Obviously, politician, Major League Baseball, no way. Yeah, biosphere, maybe? The Danish benefactor of the latest biosphere, yeah, I don't think so. And the penis thing, that's pretty funny, but no. It's the British Prime Minister talking about Brexit.
Or spokesman, you mean?
Yes, spokesman.
Because if it were Theresa May, it could be the royal week, you know.
Right, it could be all caps or capitalized, wherever you get, sure.
It is a spokesman for Theresa May. In fact, Britain this week took its first actual tangible legal step towards pulling out of Brexit, pulling out of Brexit. So you're correct.
Thank you.
But boy, there were some good choices there, weren't there?
That was wonderful. That was these quizzes are works of art in our own minds.
The penis transplant, by the way, is happening. There is not an attachment, because that's what happened to John, whatever the guy was, whose wife cut it off. There actually is a penis transplant surgery process that is ongoing now. So again, that was fake news that's real news based, instead of real news that's fake news based. Okay.
Right. No. I get it. And I want to understand penis transplant. So person A is donating their penis to person B?
I believe it's a cadaver. Or it might be a combination of, it might be harvested, it might be stem celled.
Okay. Well,
but yes, there is a real transplant going on.
This is one of the most mind-blowing shows we've ever done. I am so glad that you have taken control of the quiz. Next week,
I love this.
I think we should have a 10-question battle between each other next week. Or you should just run with it and do 20 questions, and we'll just do this all next week. It's wonderful.
This is stuff like this is what's going to get us a network contract somewhere.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Really, think of how we could brand this. It's like this week's news quiz. And like NPR has that show where they do it. What is it? Wait, don't tell me. Right? NPR has it, and it's very similar to this, but and that has a studio audience, and it's very popular. I think we're onto something here. And
all right, next week, let's do a 10-question battle, and then you can ask one, I'll ask one, and we'll bounce back and forth. Can we
call it? I have a name for it. Can we call it the Cockfight Quiz?
No, you just said you wanted a network presence. That won't do it.
Cockfight is a good name for a show back and forth between two very intelligent men trying to one-up each other on their knowledge of news.
How about, I don't know, we'll brainstorm that. Let's finish this one up.
This is the last one. Here's the quote, another short one. I'm going to come after you. Who said this to whom and about this subject? A, aging British rocker Sting to Rolling Stone as he recollected his struggles writing the lyrics for the Police's legendary I'll Be Watching You. Sting joked that it took a while to get to the eventual title lyric, which was, quote, I'm going to come after you, until he had a late epiphany while reading about Big Brother in George Orwell's 1984. Quote, from then on, getting the lyrics right was a piece of cake, he said. B, presidential thumbreaker and political mafioso Donald J. Jimmy Trump to House Freedom Caucus Chair Mark Meadows on the political revenge he would exact on Meadows and anyone else who didn't vote for the American Health Care Act, which was never voted on anyway, leading Trump to decide whether a tweet ran at 30-plus members of his own party might lead to him to breaking his own thumb. C, NASCAR driver and former Monster Energy NASCAR Cup points leader Kevin Harvick to chase Elliott after Elliott's daring pass on the next-to-last lap of the Martinsville 500 caused Harvick to crash and not finish the race. As a result, Elliott surged to second place in the NASCAR Cup standings, just 13 points behind Kyle Larson, while the embittered Harvick dropped all the way to eighth, now essentially out of the running for the $2 million prize.
Wow.
D, an anonymous ISIS tweeter to human rights lawyer Amal Clooney during her CNN interview last Sunday, during which she and a Yazidi woman held captive for 6 months as an ISIS sex slave, urged the United Nations and other international entities to bring suit against the terrorist organization for human rights violations. The tweet, suspected to have come from an encrypted ISIS account based in Syria, came during a commercial break during Fareed Zakaria's program.
Whoa.
Sting. So the quote is, I'm going to come after you. Is it Sting, Vinny the Funbreaker Trump, NASCAR driver Kevin Harvick, or an ISIS tweeter to Amal Clooney?
It's not Sting. Every breath you take, I'll be watching you. That's a great love song. So that's not it. The whole thing about...
It's about a stalker.
It's about what?
It's about a stalker. It's weird. It's eerie.
But it's a love song.
Weird.
It's a love song. That's where it's at. It's, obsessive love, but love.
Do you want to commit your love to somebody who stalks you?
Well, do you have a choice if you are the stalked?
No, it's ooey, ooh. Dark.
Right. So, but I don't think that's it. The whole thing about Trump, and I don't think so. Tweet and the thumbs and the NASCAR maybe, but really the whole anonymous tweet that says I'm going to come after you during a commercial break as Fareed Zakaria is talking to Amal Clooney. That makes the most sense to me. So I'm going to go with that, D.
Well, Amal Clooney was on Fareed Zakaria's show last Sunday, and she was on.
But I'm not right.
With a Yazidi woman who was held as a sex slave, and Amal Clooney is going before the UN and other international organizations to do something collectively to prosecute ISIL. Sting was in the news lately. I don't know for what, but it wasn't this. Kevin Harvick is in eighth place in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup points race. Good. And Chase Elliott, the great name for a race car driver, is in second, exactly 13 points behind Kyle Larson. But I don't really know what happened last week, although there is a racetrack in Martinsville, West Virginia. And Donald Trump did tell Mark Meadows, I'm going to come after you.
Oh, no. Are you serious? That's the real one?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let me understand it. Trump, okay, Mark Meadows is the House Freedom Caucus chair, and...
Who had about 14 personal meetings this week with the president. Yes. And in each case spoke glowingly of the president and his commitment and his involvement in the process. And I don't think he said in the history of American politics there hasn't been a president this involved. But Trump still told him early in the week, I'm going to come after you. He called Republicans over and said, if you don't vote for this, we're going to lose our majority. And that's why he wanted there to be a recorded vote. So he could build the enemy's list.
Wow.
Somehow he was prevailed upon by Paul Ryan or somebody not to call for a vote because he would like to get other things done, like pulling horns on 18-wheelers like he did yesterday or the day before, whatever it was. But, yes, he did say, I'm going to come after you. Whether he meant it, seriously or literally, or in that way, tin horn dictators tend to smile with the missing tooth and the little shiny black gold thing in its place, or not, we don't know. But
No, you know what? I will make the assumption, as I've said before in this program, Atlantic City rules apply under this Republican administration. So therefore, what if you were on the boardwalk of Atlantic City and you said to someone there, I'm going to come after you? What does that mean? What kind of person says that? That's the that's the context. My goodness.
I did not say it with any theatrical context here, because it's quite. If I had said I'm going to come after you, that would have tipped off NASCAR. But I didn't want to do that.
No, you did. You did a fine job. And
the Amal Clooney one is perfectly plausible, and I'm sure she's getting death threats and tweet warnings all the time. But and she was on Fareed Zakaria, and all this everything else here is true. But as far as I know, ISIS did not send her a tweet at the commercial break.
Oh, so I guess we established something, because as you just said, Amal Clooney has been vocal in this way, and therefore is probably receiving negative attention via Twitter and other platforms. So we can't say that answer D is known to be incorrect. This quiz proceeds forward in that you must choose the answer we know to be correct, or that one that is most correct.
No, not the no. It is only that which has been duly verified and reported while kept on a mayonnaise jar in a hermetically sealed container on Funkin' Wagner's front porch. That, again, is what the amazing Karnak the Magnificent used to do. He used to divine things that were hermetically sealed in that fashion. All I'm telling you is that the quote, as it is reported, has been confirmed to have been uttered, that's what she said, by the person who is the right answer.
Wow.
If you would like me to, for next week, if you would like to provide our sources.
I think next week's quiz will be an epic showdown. And we'll keep score. We need a prize is what we need.
For each other?
Yes, there needs to be a winner.
Well, we did that at Thanksgiving, and I won the Republican elephant carve-out, or rubber thing.
Oh, that's right.
That I had accepted at a meeting. So we could do that. I don't know. You think 10 questions plus 10 is too much for the whole show? I mean, this part of the show's been an hour.
Yes. No, this has been one of the most epic programs we've ever produced. This is Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio. Chris Smith and John
Should we
Ross.
invite our listeners to tweet us quotes of the week they'd like to see covered?
Oh, please, folks, tweet us. Anything. Quotes you'd like to see us incorporate into the quiz. Quiz questions themselves. Banjo
Creative
fingerings. Fake news.
Creative nicknames for the president.
Creative nicknames for the president. Like Mafioso Donald J. Vinnie Trump. Or what was
Thumbbreaker. Thumb-breaking presidential. By the way, if he does, I don't know if he's tweeted this morning, but if he's tweeting about all the Republicans who screwed him over, he might break his own thumb.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to tweet about.
Yeah, I bet he doesn't use the microphone dictation feature on his phone like I do.
I still can't believe that he doesn't have somebody reading things first before he posts. I really can't.
He is unfiltered. He's like the old MTV Unplugged series.
Well, he believes himself to be his own MTV.
He is unplugged.
I mean, he thinks he is both Beavis and Butthead and the music videos. He wants to be a media company.
You know, the thing is, he has a way to endear himself to the left if he only works on this unfiltered stuff. He could call himself the kombucha of politics, unfiltered what you hear is what you get. But
The
he's not.
kombucha of politics?
The kombucha
Okay.
is the unfiltered, high energy drink. He could do that. He could, if his ego would allow him.
I'm sorry.
Selling himself that
There
way.
is no, to my knowledge, last time I saw, there is no kombucha in Atlantic City. It's
Unfiltered. That's the point.
I hear you. All right, well, look, next week, tune in, folks. Mega epic battle royale, Rage in the Cage, a quiz.
You can't call it a cockfight.
No, we're not calling it a cockfight. We'll call
How about
Congress.
a intellectual cockfight?
How about you can use the word cockfight in as many questions as you want, right? I think that would be fun.
Well, there's about to be a cockfight between the intelligence community and the White House. In fact, the cockfight has been going on for, about 64 days.
Is that where we're at?
That is exact. This is day 65, but yeah.
Wow. All right. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Trigger warnings. Challenging Talk Radio. We'll be back next week for a giant, yes, cockfight. That's